friends, and welcome. How quickly the wheel of the year turns. Once again, we have reached the dark and cold of the winter solstice, which occurs on December 21st this year. Winter solstice is an astronomical moment, the exact moment when our hemisphere tilts as far away from the sun as possible. But for the 10 days after, the increase in daylight each day is only a few seconds. So I like to think of this time as the winter solstice season. With the short hours of daylight, the cold, the storms, and the long nights, this can be a difficult time for many. This season can bring feelings of loneliness, sorrow, and uncertainty, even amid all the frivolity. Life's problems can feel overwhelming. Yet when life seems to be at its darkest, the winter solstice promises that an unexpected light is waiting to be reborn. It is the ancient symbol of the triumph of light over dark. This is the time to pause and reflect on the darkness in all its luminous meaning, and reignite the flame of hope that lives in our hearts. An ancient goddess of the British Isles, a dark goddess, the Cailleach, guides and protects us through this time. The Cailleach, which literally translates as the Veiled One, is an ancient goddess whose origins are unknown. The Veiled One is an epithet often applied to deities who occupy hidden worlds. When the Celts arrived in Ireland around 2,000 years ago, and then later to Scotland with the invasion of Gaels from Dalriada, she was there. Over time, her name came to mean old wife, old woman, or old hag. And yet, she was thought to never grow old, to be all-powerful and ageless, a goddess of nature and transformation. She has various names, which I'm probably going to mispronounce, but I'll give it a shot. She's called Cailleach Búr to the Scots, Cailleach Beer to the coastal Irish, Callyberry to Northern Ireland, Cailleach ní Gronach on the Isle of Man, and Black Annis to the Bretons, most likely deriving from the Pictish water goddess Annis, who predated the invasion of Pictland by the Gaels. In many stories, Cailleach, as an old hag, seeks love from the hero. If he accepts her, she then transforms into a beautiful young woman. This symbolizes the ancient belief that a magical transformation occurs in the depths of winter when seeds lie dormant in the earth. Yet alive within the cold depths of this dormancy is the promise that spring and warmth will return. The Cailleach is the guardian of the life force who finds and nourishes the seeds. She commands the powers of life and death. The Cailleach is the embodiment of winter, clothing the land with the whiteness of snow. Sacred stones are her special places. Many credit her with the creation of Scotland itself. She leaps from mountaintop to mountaintop, dropping rocks from her aprons to create the hills, mountains, and valleys. She carries a slagdam, the Druidic rod, or a hammer, with which she wields power over the seasons and the weather, unleashing powerful and cleansing storms. Flinging down her cloak, she stamps down any green shoot that appears in the dead of winter, ensuring the strength of the sprouts to come at the correct time. The Cailleach controls the elements of water and earth. She mothers and protects earth itself, as well as the animals, both wild and domestic. She also protects goats, sheep, and cattle, rides wolves, and transforms into birds. In Scotland, her sacred animal is the red deer, whereas in Ireland, it's the cow. Some scholars believe that in Scotland she was associated with an ancient female deer cult, connecting her to the reindeer goddess of various northern European people, and later to the Brittonic Helen of the Ways. As Winter Queen, she is connected to grain, food needed in the northern realms for survival through the winter. The last sheath of grain from the final harvest before winter was dedicated to the Cailleach. The Cailleach is a primal force, clearly one with the land. The health and balance of the natural world is of utmost importance to her. Hers is a female power that is both wild and applied. Sometimes depicted with blue skin and one eye, she sees beyond duality, peering into the oneness of all being. To this day, she is associated with numerous sacred sites and enchanting landscapes throughout Scotland and Ireland. The 5,000-year-old Cailleach stones on the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides is one such site. I was lucky enough to visit that site in April of 2022. The ancients believed that the rocks on the Isle of Lewis used to create the Cailleach stone circle were gifts from the Cailleach, from her acts of earth building. These metamorphic gneiss rocks are among the oldest in Europe and are embedded with various types of crystals. There is a mountain that can be seen through a couple of the standing stones, which is named Cailleach na Montech. Probably wrong. Gaelic for the Old Woman of the Moors, or affectionately called Sleeping Beauty by the locals, as the mountain looks like a woman lying on her back with bent knees. It's believed that the 5,000-year-old Cailleach stones were a sacred site created for ritual and prayer, in particular from which to mark the 18.6-year lunar cycle, similar and yet more complicated than the yearly sun cycle of summer and winter solstice. Another site in the Scottish Highlands, which I only learned about after my trip, is a stone shrine near Glen Lyon in Perth, located in Glen Cailleach. According to local folklore, the goddess Cailleach and her family were given shelter in this glen. During their residence, the land was fertile and the people flourished. But the day arrived that they must leave. Before departing, the Cailleach gifted the people a shrine of stone houses called Tigna Cailleach, with stones surrounding the houses representing the goddess, her husband Bodach, and their many children. They were instructed to place the stones representing the family so that they overlooked the glen on Beltane and then return them to inside the stone houses on Samhain. This would ensure fertility and prosperity for the glen and its inhabitants. The Cailleach, associated with water and wells, created many of the rivers and lochs of Scotland. She had the responsibility of capping the wells every night to protect the land from flooding. It's believed that when she washes her plaid cloak in the Cailleach, one of the largest pools in the world, her plaid turns white and the land is covered with snow. She was the one who decided the beginning and the end of winter. Neither good or bad, she exists within the balance of light and dark, the bringer of life and death, a destroyer and creator goddess. As the veiled one, in the quiet dark of winter, she rules the hidden worlds, reigning over our dreams and inner realities. Accept Cailleach into your heart and feel the unity from which our world of duality springs. With her help, you can plant new seeds of hope. But remember to have patience, for these seeds planted and nourished in the dark of winter need time to sprout and grow. The Cailleach helps you find your way safely through times of transformation into a newer and deeper place of harmony and unity. May the quiet beauty of this season and the wisdom of the Cailleach be with you as you navigate all the current crises we face in our world. I'll see you next time.